I was 21 when I learned that the world doesn't just get darker at night, it gets hungrier. It was 2017. I was working the graveyard shift at a desolate gas station 3 towns over from mine. The shifts were easy, usually. Just ringing up snacks and cigarette until the sun went down. At night, the fluorescent lights felt like a trap. The store was a blinding white box surrounded by a sea of absolute nothingness. The phone rang at 9:42. I picked up, expecting a delivery check. Instead, there was a sound like sandpaper rubbing together. A voice, low, forced, and distorted, whispered, "Are you all alone in there, Victor?" I played it off. I was a cynical 21-year-old. I gave a sarcastic answer and hung up. I texted my friends, asking which one of them was being a prick. They all denied it. One sent a photo of his TV. Another was at a party. They weren't lying. I could feel it, in the way the air in the store suddenly felt heavy. 10 minutes later, it rang again. "I shouldn't be rude to people who know exactly where I am," the voice said. It didn't sound like a movie impression anymore. It sounded like a promise. By 11 o'clock, the calls were coming every 2 minutes. I stopped answering. I just stood there, staring at the plastic phone as it shrieked in the silence. I turned to the monitors. The outside cameras were grainy, filled with static and blind spots. Behind the dumpster, near the edge of the woods, I saw it. Just for a second. A shadow that didn't move like a shadow. It was tall, thin, and it was vibrating. At 11:40, the bell above the door chimed. It didn't sound like a bell. It sounded like a warning. A man walked in. He looked normal, too normal. He spent 10 minutes drifting through the aisles, but his head was always tilted at an angle, watching me over the shelves. When he finally came to the counter, he didn't buy gas. He bought a single bag of chips. As I scanned them, I looked up. He was staring directly into my soul. His eyes weren't just brown. They were empty, like 2 holes burnt into a sheet of paper. He didn't speak. He just handed me the cash. He walked toward the door, pushed it halfway open, and stopped. He turned his head back, a full, slow, 180 degrees. And he smiled. It wasn't a human smile. It was too wide. His teeth were too many. He looked at me through the glass, his eyes locked on mine, and he slowly walked around the side of the building, disappearing into the blind spot, behind the dumpster. I locked the doors early. I didn't care about the job anymore. I rushed through the closing, my hands shaking so hard I could barely count the drawer. At midnight, I sprinted to my car. I was 5 feet away when I heard it. Slap, slap, slap. The sound of bare feet hitting the pavement at an impossible speed. I spun around. The man from the store was sprinting toward me, but he wasn't running like a person. He was low to the ground, his limbs moving in a jagged, spider-like crawl. I dove into the car, slammed the locks, and the engine roared to life just as a pale, filthy hand slapped against my driver's side window. I never went back. My boss watched the footage and told me I was overreacting. He said the guy looked like a regular, but the camera didn't catch the smell of rot he left behind. It didn't catch the way his jaw unhinged when he smiled. I quit that night because I realized something. He wasn't calling to see if I was alone. He was calling to tell me he was already inside.